Just this last weekend, I headed up to Atlanta for a video marketing conference that I was speaking at, and I met some really cool people there, including one we're talking to today, Bernadette Joy, who has built a small business with a small audience, and she's making as much as $360,000 a year. Now, this is a big number, and it's actually very impressive, and she started just a few years ago. Now, I want you to remember that this is a business, and it does take hard work. Bernadette works like crazy. And I want you to realize that some of the principles you're going to learn here will work across all niches and all businesses. This is very important because you don't need a gigantic audience and millions of views to make a good living online. In fact, a lot of what we teach here on the channel, Bernadette has been using to build and grow her business. Some of the keyword strategies, blogging strategies, video marketing strategies, and all of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis. The key is putting them all together and having one track focus on one niche, one message, and one core offer. This is super important. And I want you to take notes and think about how you can use this with your niche market. And if you don't have a niche market, kind of look at this and glean from it and start to get excited about the fact that you don't need a gigantic audience to make this work. As long as you grow, nurture, and treat your audience right with good ethical stuff, this works like crazy. So if you have any desire at all to make money online with blogs, niches, or even a small video channel, you're going to want to watch this video all the way through, maybe even a few times, so it sinks in. Because the fact is, niche marketing works if you treat it like a business and do it right. Come on, let's fire up the interview, and I'll show you how this whole thing works. Today we're talking to someone who has an audience of just around 6,000 subscribers, yet she's making mid-six-figure income, and it's pretty impressive. Bernadette, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to meet you.
Excellent. So I'm looking at your channel here, and this is one that stood out to me because I love the niche. It's in the debt niche. So you have like a play on your name where it's like Bernadette instead of Bernadette.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool. And so going through here, we see you got a lot of videos in the debt market. And I noticed there was a shift that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But first, tell me how you got into this. Tell me kind of what the money's been like. And as we get into this, you're going to hear some big numbers. I've made some good money. Bernadette's made good money. The vast majority of people trying to make money online make nothing. So take it with a grain of salt. This is a business. There's lots of work. She's got over 700 videos up here. But we're going to see, okay, this is how it works for those who really want to do it. So tell us a little bit about your journey, what you've made, when the turning points were, everything like that.
Sure. So 2016, I graduated with $72,000 of student loan debt and really wanted to figure out how to do that. And so what did I do? I went on YouTube and started YouTubing all these different videos. And I found that a lot of the information out there just didn't resonate with me, whether it was because I'm like a first generation, whether or not because I like to spend money and everyone is saying don't spend money. And so I started on this personal finance journey back then, first with the idea of paying off $72,000 of student loans. Fast forward to a year later, I had paid off all $72,000 of student loans in less than a year.
Wow. Okay.
And I started sharing this initially on Instagram, just sharing my journey. I had these little Post-its on my refrigerator showing people like it's at 72,000, now it's at like 60,000, it just kept going down. And so I started having a lot of people reaching out to me, people who I thought were really successful, like the doctors and the lawyers, who behind the scenes were saying, hey, how are you paying off all the student loan debt? So 2018, I started a podcast, and initially it was purely for the perspective of like people kept asking me to go out for cups of coffee, and I don't drink coffee. So I said, what's a more efficient way to do this? So let me record some of this content. It was intended to be one season. I never had a plan to be any sort of content creator, but the podcast led into people asking me to do live speaking engagements, to start doing coaching and training, and that led to Crush Your Money Goals in 2020, where I started doing a lot more video content initially on courses, and I kind of did the reverse of what a lot of YouTubers did. I did courses first, and then I did YouTube later.
Got it. Okay.
And so that's where we are in 2025. The business has made over $1 million in revenue, and last year made $365K.
That's amazing. To realize that most entrepreneurs don't ever hit that is kind of cool, because it's like, okay, one, you paid off all this debt, and I don't think you like won the lottery. It was like a legit way to pay the debt and everything like that. And then you got into doing this content and you realized, wow, people actually want to hear this.
Yes.
And then what I noticed here too is you had the journey where there was a pivot, and you went from your content, and this is something that I teach all the time, where you took your content from, okay, here's some things that I did, here's some things that work, or maybe like a topic of this is what I think this video should be. And then you shifted and said, okay, well, wait a minute. If I talk about Oprah's money goals, I get a lot more views. And those people watching Oprah doesn't have like a finance class. She's got like lists and stuff. I don't think, I can't really relate to her. I do all right, but I don't have $2 billion. So looking at that is like, okay, that's a way to bring your expertise, piggyback on something that worked. This is something I teach a lot where in my addiction channel, we went through and I took all the books on addiction and I shared my opinion on them. And so now by association, you're getting that traffic, you're getting the stuff. Now, of course, you want to go through and be honest and upfront, and you don't want to say, oh, Dave Ramsey bad, me good, which you do a fantastic job of like, okay, they're going through, here's what I think about it, here's the good, here's stuff that people may not get. Which is fantastic. And tell me what it was like building this up in the first year. Were you making $1? Was it fast? What was that like?
Yeah, so I in 2020 is when I decided to go into my business full time. I had been doing content creation and the podcast and side hustling on speaking before that. So I had this intention in 2020 to start my business as a in-person speaking thing, and then we all know what happened in 2020. So that idea got kiboshed really quickly, so I had to pivot online during that year. And the first, honestly, like I just mentioned to you, my business has made $1 million, but 365 was just from the last year, right? So if you extrapolate the other remaining amount over the course of 4 years, it trickled up. Like I kind of almost doubled every year. So first year, I was not making much money at all.
Like $1,000, $10,000?
I would say, probably like it was like $10,000 like the first year if you consider just like what I was making on like content type of stuff. But what I think was really interesting for me is that I went out to like real life people first, like people I knew in my real life. So when I started Crush Your Money Goals in 2020, I had a group of about 50 people, and I just kept asking, well, what are you challenged with right now? And so interviewing all those people and coaching them in real time helped me understand like what are the real problems that people are looking to get solved on, not just like trying to grow an audience of strangers on the internet. And so knowing that there's a particular group of people that I wanted to focus on, specifically like high earning individuals who are like in a ton of student loan debt, that helped me really inform to say, okay, if I'm going to put content out there, then I'm going to put out content that feels like it's going to actually be helpful to people I know in real life, not just trying to guess like what the internet wants.
I love that, because what I do is a lot of data. I don't make a decision, I don't even make a video unless there's data behind it. And looking at that, I think you inadvertently stumbled on this idea that works so well, which is, okay, let's listen to our audience, because I'm sure you're not the only one out there that feels the way, goes through the stuff and everything like that. There's other people like that, which is good. And then what I like to do also is package it. So I take what people bring to me and then I package it in a way where it's like, okay, now we can tie this into Oprah or renting over owning or whatever these things are that people want. And then of course, tie that into what's making money. So tell us also, like, you have this channel here and I think, you get a decent amount of views. Do you know what your average daily is?
I don't even know.
Okay, let's have a look here.
Here's why I think this is fun to talk about today is just like YouTube for me I don't put up huge numbers on YouTube at all. Like I have a very small channel, but what I talked about in the conversation we had this morning was that for me to I've been using YouTube as a way to build more trust with the existing audiences that I've been building in other areas. And what I found was that like if you go through my channel right now, you'll see a bunch of videos that only have like 10, 20, 30 views, like basically no views, but there's like a handful of videos that got over like 10K views that made me realize like, okay, these are the topics that I need to double down on. So for example, you showed like that why I rent versus owning, even though I'm a millionaire and I can afford to buy a home. That that was organic, like it like got 11K views when normally my videos get like 100 views or something. And so when I saw that, it's like those kinds of topics that I'm starting to that's where I started to see the shift of like, there's so many people on YouTube who are posting about how to open a Roth IRA or how to buy your first home, but like having some of these videos that are more like, let's challenge what people are already seeing on YouTube tend to do better.
Yeah, I like that. And the challenging one works really good, where it's like, what I don't like about this strategy. I remember when I was doing the alcohol one, there was a common big popular book, And it was like, oh, just count backwards from 5 to 1 and you won't drink anymore. And I'm like, that's the worst advice. And I was like, okay. And I did a video on that book and we got some views from it, which was good. But I was able to share my stuff and then share like, okay, this might be good for this, but for someone dealing with what I dealt with is a little bit different. But yeah, looking at the difference here of where you shifted, like we did a 127 debt-free Scream, renting over owning, need a new money mentor, stuff like this. What you're finding is you have a very tight-knit audience that can afford and wants this, where the traditional YouTube advice is go be Mr. Beast.
Yes.
And I'm like, okay, well, Mr. Beast, like if you got the same numbers as Mr. Beast, you would be broke because his CPMs don't match, you know, like 6,000 subscribers or, you know, the views per day. This wouldn't equal to anything, but because you have that tight niche and you're able to go into it and look at things like, this is what people are searching. They're searching Dave Ramsey, and I think I spelled his name wrong. I think it's with an E. But, you know, there's 2,900 other people that spell it the way I do too. So 190,000 people a month looking this up. And there's a lot of people that he can't reach, or, you know, when you get big people like Oprah, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, the advice is generic.
Yes.
It's like, okay, this is for everyone. And for people like you and me, like someone in the business world, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is like super basic stuff. Where, you know, your stuff is like, okay, this is detailed things that are going to get an actionable result for a certain person who has the means and can get my product. That's where this is at, which is really cool. And then...
Yeah, and I think, you know, to clarify that point as well is that, you know, in the beginning, I did what everyone else did. Like, I was just like, posting out content and like, you know, pray that people would go look at it. But what I figured out is that, for me, like my strength has always been in person speaking and coaching. And so, in the beginning, I was really stressed about even just getting videos onto the channel. And so what I started doing instead was going back and looking through all of the old video I had of me speaking at events or like on television segments. And I understand that everyone has like television segments like handy, but like there was already so much content that had built over the last couple of years that if I was more intentional about cutting it in a way that would make it more interesting on YouTube, then that gave me my first like literally 100 videos.
Wow. Yeah.
Like in the last 18 months when I was actually being serious about trying to like grow an audience on YouTube. Whereas like if you said, okay, Bernadette, you're gonna have to carve out time from your already busy day to sit here and either schedule interviews with people or to do the kind of typical, looking in the camera, talking to YouTube, I would never have like got the YouTube channel going. And just from those existing content already, we were able to build up the first, 1,000 or so subscribers in a relatively short amount of time. And then for me, it's been helpful to not feel like I'm on the hamster wheel because I'm already doing these things anyway versus like carving out extra time.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it, it's not a ton, like 738 videos since 2020. So that's roughly 80 videos a year, something like that.
But almost all of them are like ones that, I didn't carve out extra time to do them. It was a video of something I already did.
Well, and I think that's what it stifles a lot of people is, okay, I'm sitting and I'm going to do this production and we get this face on and we get to, what we're going to do, we're the YouTube man. Instead of like some of the videos I've done that do the best are ones where I'm not even in the camera. It's just a screen share.
Yeah.
Now I do a lot more in camera, but as you see, I have like little webcams, make it easy. So this can be done in a faceless way. If you want to do AI, it could be done in an AI voice way. I would say for most people, just do your regular voice, nobody cares. And then looking at, okay, what is the method behind it? We're not just putting out content. Like the internet doesn't need more debt-free life content. It doesn't need it. What it needs is something specific that fits a goal. And when you see, okay, the views here are not crazy.
Yeah.
Like these are things.
I would say I have pretty bad views actually on YouTube, but I love that you share that point, right? Of just like it's not crazy views that necessarily is what's built my revenue.
Exactly, and that's the key is like the viewer that you want, or even with a blog, because I noticed you have a website, and with your blog, like what is the perfect traffic that's going to work for you for what you have to sell, whether it's an affiliate offer, whether it's like courses or trainings, different things like that, where you're finding them and you're methodically making content around it. One of the things that I like to teach the audience is using the glossary method, right? Like I didn't wake up and look up like DTI, or debt to income ratio. The people who woke up and did are in the middle of getting a mortgage. So if you take your market and you go down that glossary list of like credit application, how to pay off debt, what rate does it break even, and all these other things that normal people wouldn't look up on a day-to-day basis, you are now making videos about things people are looking up. So like the Dave Ramsey one, that's why it hit, because it's something that's attainable, right? Like even with a smaller channel, it's attainable, and it's something your audience is interested in, and it's something search worthy, right? So I'll bet if you were to look up one of the Dave ones, it probably shows up in search somewhere. And starting to realize that it's a pair between the two, and you don't need that many people if you're serving them well.
Yes.
Right? Like if you're selling houses, you're getting 3% of every house.
That's right.
That's a good amount. You go out there, like I tell people all the time, like, dude, stop doing all this content stuff. If you're selling houses, go do a press release. You'll get so much traffic overnight. There's no vanity in it. You know, a lot of people are chasing this, I need the vanity, I need this big thing, I need to feel this way. When in actuality, most of the videos we make are like, okay, well, you know, I tried, let's see how it does.
Yeah. Can I share on that point is, so again, and I want to help dispel this myth, is right now I have 50 paying clients. And on the lower tier, people are paying me $50 a month, and then the higher tier, people are paying me $2,500 a month. But 50 client, like if you think about, you know, my YouTube channel only has 6,000 viewers, but for that to funnel down to 50 paying clients is what has allowed me to have like a mid six-figure business. A lot of people think, oh, you have to have like hundreds or thousands of clients to like make good money. But for me, and this is what I found really kind of eye-opening, because the last 2 years, like I was getting on myself about like, oh, how come my YouTube channel isn't growing? Like, why am I not getting more views? But then I come to some conferences and I find out I'm making more money than a lot of people who have more viewers or more followers than I do. And so really thinking about, well, what is the business model? Like, what is the end solution that you're trying to sell people? Like that will create a better funnel for you than just like chasing, you know, a large following. Having a large following doesn't necessarily, create a revenue stream. And
sometimes that can crush your channel. Like if you had a video go nuts and it was just some fun video about some debt thing, or let's say you tackled the government debt, which has nothing to do with what clients would want. And so you look at that and you're like, okay, this video is going to go crazy, but is it who I want? And then it's going to attract the wrong audience. It's going to tell YouTube the wrong message about your videos. It's going to jumble it all up. And that's what a lot of people don't realize is very specific things with a specific goal. Really focus on helping your market. Always have a good product. Always have a good course. Always have something that's honest and upfront, where you're looking at it like, you know, some people, they're just, we'll charge whatever. Okay, well, you got to have the chops, you know, if you're going to charge it. And thinking about, okay, but how do I get into this market, however, wherever it is, and really, really focus on helping. All my content's around helping. All of my content is getting that right person, like people who want to pay off their house. Or even, like you said, going the contrary, where it's like, why I didn't pay off my house. Because I have a house right now where it's
why
like,
I rent.
Yeah, exactly. Because, you know, a lot of people don't think these ways, and what we forget, like you did the debt thing, you went through all that stuff, you know it, and you meet someone on the street and you're like, oh yeah, just do this, and he's like, wait, what? They don't know this stuff like we do. And when you understand that, that's your gift. And if you don't have a gift, if you don't have a niche, go get one. Like, you weren't born with it. You weren't born on like the debt.
Well, my name is Bernadette Joy, so I think I might have a little. It's funny, like someone else pointed out to me that my name is Bernadette Joy. They're like, I think you were born to do this.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
But you had to learn it.
I did,
like,
absolutely.
You had to go through,
I was totally had to learn all of this.
Yeah, and it's a lot of people think the journey is a lot harder than it is. Where it's like, okay, you could probably learn something better than most people in your market in like 3 months. You'll be better than most people in the market. You'll be seen as, oh wow, he knows what he's talking about. You just have to go out there and do it. And I think what Bernadette's channel shows us is you can do it. You don't need to be a boisterous, you know, big producer.
Yeah, and I'm a huge introvert too. So
yeah, which is, you know, that's a good one too, because a lot of people, they have these things that stop them. And whenever someone asks me like, oh, how do you just sit down and do a video? Well, there's a delete button. So if it's the worst video, I delete it, and it's easy. And I reshoot it, which I hardly ever do. There's been a few that I did. But it's funny too, because the video we think is going to be the best usually isn't.
Yeah.
I have a video.
It's always that way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I have a video on my channel. We spent the most money on it, spent the most time. It was in the editing for like years, and I finally got around to it, and it just bombed. And it wasn't even the right audience. And starting to look at like, how can I serve this audience? And you notice on her channel, she's not out there talking about what she had for breakfast. She's not talking about, oh, hey, here's our vacation, unless it relates to getting out of debt. And that's the thing, is one track focus, one track mind. You don't need that much traffic or visitors to make it work if you have that right person. And if you spend your time making content for that right person, it's game over. So many people are trying to reach everyone. I want my blog to get millions of views. I want my channel to get millions of views. And that's all fine and good. But we see people who have short videos that get 10 million views and they make $4. And I'm like, I'm in it to make business. I don't have $4 isn't going to do anything for me. You know, and starting to understand that. But what has your experience been like? Like, how did you get past that introvert hurdle? What would you say to people that want to start? Like, how do you go out there and believe you can do it and do it?
Yeah. So I will say I was a little bit lucky in this in the YouTube from this perspective of I had a really great client, like real life client, who got a ton of value out of what I did for his finances. And he happens to be like in the YouTube space, and he said, more people need to know about what you're doing. And so he helped out with, he already like knew my content, and he said, I think let's start off with just the shorts here and just like see how they do. So how that translates to you, right, is to say, okay, you know, looking for those ideal people that you genuinely want to help, and what is it that really resonated with them, starting out with that content versus like, you know, a lot of people right now is like, oh, give me 10 topics on ChatGPT of what I can do videos for, versus asking one real life person who fits your avatar of who it is that you want to help, and say, what are the top 10 things that are really bothering you right now? What's keeping you up? That's my favorite question, like what's keeping you up at night? That's where I'll do that content. And where I got really stuck was, oh, I don't want to do editing. I got really intimidated with, oh, how do I do captions? Like to this day, I do little to none of my my editing. There's a lot of really useful tools like Descript or whatever that makes it really easy. Or if you want to spend a little bit of money, I say it's really worth it upfront to, you know, pay someone for the first couple of videos just to get them out there as you're learning how to do that rhythm. So for anyone who's just getting stuck on, you know, just putting the content on there, you know, finding the top 10 topics. I even talked about this today. I challenge a lot of people today to say, hey, we've got 4 months left in the year, 16 videos, 10 minutes each, like find those 16 topics and just get them out there as quickly as possible, because then to your point, the data will tell you where you should double down next. And
one thing you brought up that was very important was most people won't go out there and talk to people in their niche. I did affiliate marketing long before I started teaching it. In 2008, when I started teaching it, I made a website, and it was an opt-in, you know, like yours, you opt in to get the free stuff, and we'll go over that in a minute, where they opted in. And on the second page, I said, what is your number one question about how to make money online? And there was no pre-filler, there was no check boxes. I just wanted, in your words, tell me what it's like. And I read those, and I read them, and we went from like $250 the first month, and it just like skyrocketed to like $30,000 a month within a couple of months. Obviously, results not typical, applied, or guaranteed. Most people make nothing. But what that did was, one, I get the data of what to make things about. Two, now I can write them back a personal message, and the close rate was absurd. Like, people are trying to, we get 1% sales. It's like, no, that was a much higher rate because I was actually going out there, which I love about that mindset, is understanding. One thing I did learn, though, is you want to find the right person if you're going to keep it small.
That's right.
Like, if you're going to get a lot of data, good. But when you have one data point, sometimes it's not always the best, unless that person is like the perfect client, which in your case you had. So now, when people watch your videos, do you tell them to go get the cheat sheet or checklist or whatever it is?
Yeah, so depending on, you know, kind of what season I'm in, earlier or late last year, I published my first book. And so for the first half of this year, a lot of it was just trying to drive book sales. And so I had this aha moment one day where, again, I was initially so caught up in like the traditional YouTube. You try to get enough viewers, and then you get enough viewers, and you get AdSense, and you get sponsors, and that's how you monetize. And I said to myself, well, what if I just acted as my own sponsor?
Yep.
So I started making, the equivalent of like what would be sponsorship little clips about my book during different parts of these videos, and that's helped me sell way more books. So they say like the average author vast majority of people never sell more than 100 books, and I think we're at like 5,000 books right now this year.
Nice.
And so for me, that was really helpful to have a focus to say, okay, well, if I go backwards from my funnel, if like right now my focus is book sales, then what kind of content is going to make sense with that book sale, with the book sales? Luckily for me, my book is Crush Your Money Goals, so it's not that far off from what I do on the channel. Yeah. But where I find a lot of people again getting stuck is, there's no end game for people after the video. It's just like a lot of people are like, just subscribe and like watch the next video, versus I'm actually trying to get people off of YouTube and into my funnels. And so it was the book, and then I also have a funnel going into my free guide, my lead magnet, and then that is where I actually get back to getting people to watch more YouTube again in the form of like playlists. So once they're in my newsletter, and again, for me, the goal here is to convert them into a high ticket client, someone who's going to pay me $1,000 or $2,500 or something like that. But it takes a longer time frame. Like, people aren't just going to watch one video and then be like, I want to hand over you $1,000. So I've curated some of these playlists to say, hey, watch this playlist or watch these set of videos, so that you can really get to know me. We can cultivate a relationship, and then that leads them into the funnel to eventually become a client.
Exactly, yeah, and that funnel is important, because a lot of people are missing where to take them. And what I like to do is I like to make a video where something in the video can't be delivered in a video format. They would need to get a PDF, a software, a tool, or whatever it is, from a website or whatever. And that's where this works really well, is understanding, okay, now we're taking this audience, even though it's small, tight-knit, they really want this stuff and it's really helpful for them, and you get a really good result, which funnels everything else. So for those that are out there looking at, okay, maybe I don't know what niche I'm going into, maybe I don't know what I want to do videos about, maybe I don't want to be on camera, this can be done. You just look at the format. One of the things Bernadette mentioned that I think is super important is the idea of working backwards. This is something I have always done. Back when I was early marketer, I would go and find keywords and be like, well, what could I give these people? Like, they're there. I just need to figure out what they want. And understanding that is key. Understanding that everything can be reverse engineered. Everything could be understood in a different way. Everything can be diced out, right? Like your local insurance agent, your local realtor, they know more than 99% of the people on the planet about their topic. Could you not go share that, maybe in a small one, right? Like, okay, I'm just going to be the Orlando real estate guy and have a show about, house prices in Orlando or whatever it is. That's a tight-knit audience that's going to work for them. Or maybe you have a product where you have a product that's going to be one focused, very specific. Here's the product, here's what it is. Software products, right? Or a book. If you're an author, what do? You talk about other books in the niche, and you say, okay, here's this one, here's this one, here's this other stuff, and if you like it, great, check mine out. Something very straightforward that you can do if you focus. It's attainable. It's not as daunting as so many people think, being in front of the camera. It's, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but if you do, you just turn it on, and remember, you can always delete it. And remember, you're your own worst critic. I'm thousands of videos in, and I hate my videos sometimes.
Oh my
Yesterday,
gosh, yeah.
I hated my talk. People were like, great talk. I'm like, what are you talking about? I felt like I wasn't talking about nothing. But people will always get value if you focus on the info. It's not about you, it's about the info. And when you understand that and you realize that, that's the key. Unless you're doing an entertainment channel, that's a whole different ballgame. But for information, if you're looking to make a living, information sells really well if you package it right and you understand your client and you have that funnel in the right way. And like you, rub elbows with your people, online. Oh, hey, how you doing? Start a Facebook group, start a mentorship, or, go out there and give more than the other people in your audience. If you give more and you teach different things, it's going to show them, one, you're smart as a tack, you know what you're talking about. Two, they're going to inadvertently be like, damn, I can't remember or do all that. I need her to, so where's the button? And then you will build a business that way. But slow and steady. I mean, I think that's the key, is realize, okay, your first video did not take off, right? Your 100th might not take off. Now, with that said, there are people that say do 100 failure videos to get started. I don't agree with that. I think if we look at data, and if I sit down and make a good video, I'm going to make that work. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to put it on a press release. I'm going to put it on a website. I'm going to repurpose it in a way that will work so I don't lose my time. And looking at something like this, you know, can a video get 1 opt-in a day? Okay, good. Maybe I can make 10 videos. Now I got 10 opt-ins a day. Now I got 100. And now you're starting to realize this is how it works. And like with this funnel, I think you've learned a lot about having that audience and being able to send them back to stuff. Being able to say, oh, I have this new video now. Oh, I have this new printout, which is fantastic. Now, tell us a little bit about, like, how does it feel to have made something cool like this?
You know, I will say that it doesn't really hit me until, again, I'm back out in real life and I meet folks who have either followed my journey for a while or have said that they have gotten something really out of it. This past week, so the funnel leads into my newsletter, and I wrote in my newsletter this past week about how I'm losing my hair, and this is and I just turned 40 and I'm like going through this kind of like change in life, and I'm entering my early retirement phase, and I let people know in my newsletter, which is not a huge newsletter either, it's about 6,000 people in my newsletter too. I said, hey, I'm losing my hair and I feel like, you know, I'm just going through this transition, and all of I got probably a dozen responses of like really long messages from people saying, hey, I've been following your YouTube since 2020, I've been following your podcast since 2018, and I just want to let you know, your stress is worth it because, I've paid off my car, or I've, gotten my finance together. And so the views and like the optics of social media has never been really like motivating for me. It's hearing those individual testimonials of people who say like, hey, the information you're putting out there is really helpful. So I recommend this for everyone, is that I have a brag box, I call it, in my inbox. So where if I get a screenshot from like my YouTube videos, if someone leaves a really great comment or a nice email from someone saying, hey, you really helped me, I will put that in my brag box. And so on those days where I just like quit the YouTube channel, quit all of this stuff, I go back in my brag box and I read, I'm like, oh yeah, there's real people who are actually watching this. Yeah,
no, and that's what we forget is like, I mean, hearing the numbers you have with marketers, you would think, okay, 6,000 people on a mailing list, is probably, I mean, conventional wisdom would say you're making about 60 grand a year. But because they are rabid fans, and this is what it's about building that following that people are going to resonate with and get help with. Whatever it is, even if you're in like Stoic philosophy niche or, I have one in the addiction niche, you will find people that will watch your stuff for years and then finally buy. And for me, I don't want to be like, oh my God, you need to buy right now, let's hype up this sale. I just want to be like, hey, here I am. When you're ready, I'll be here. And it works really well, understanding this is a great way to grow an audience and keeping it very, very focused. And I think that's where most people get it wrong, is having the wrong niche market, having the wrong focus, being too all over the place, looking at the glitter of social media. Like you said, when I go to these meetings, I don't go to them too often. People recognize me. I get scared. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go over here in the corner. And, I don't like that part of it. It is part of it. And then, like one time I remember a guy came up to me at a conference and I was like, okay, this dude's a big guy. I hope he likes my content. And he was like, me and my kid watch your videos and I'm retired. His kid was like 20 or something.
Wow.
And they both retired off of learning the stuff. And I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. But those are things that, it does help you. And at the end of the day, it's the negative comments that get you down.
Yes.
And those are so far outweighed by the positive. Our brain just goes to it.
That's happened to me many times.
Yeah.
One of the videos that did well for me was when I posted a video saying I disagreed with Dave Ramsey at his headquarters.
Yeah.
And I got so much negative commentary, but it was also clear that the negative commentary didn't actually watch the whole video. They just read the
thumbnail.
The thumbnail. And so the ones who actually watched through the whole video, they left comments saying like, actually, I thought that was a really respectful conversation you had, and I learned something from that. And part of the thing that has been a struggle for me the last 2 years, and I'll be completely honest, like I almost just got off of all social media because at a certain tipping point there was way more negative commentary than there was positive.
Yeah.
And I think particularly in my niche, a lot of people are burned out by this content of saying like, just like work really hard and hustle and like you'll become rich. Like people are tired of it,
Yep.
So what's been really motivating for me lately is putting out content that feels like someone would be willing to show up for in real life.
Yeah.
Meaning that, if I'm just doing this for views or just for, minutes watched on a YouTube video, is this actually content that would translate in real life? So something that's been really motivating for me recently is I started doing like a little kind of like mini tour for my book. I did it in partnership with another company to go to different cities and meet people in real life. And it wasn't huge amounts of people. It was like maybe 20 or 30 people that show up to each of these events. But these are people who like not just watched a YouTube video, they like got dressed, got in the car. Like some of them drove an hour and a half to come to these events who have never met before.
Yeah.
And so my next iteration of content creation is like, what's the kind of content that will motivate people to leave their house and build relationships like in the real world?
Yeah.
And that kind of content, like you can't really replicate on ChatGPT, right? You can't, like you have to, that's where you do have to keep talking to people and having conversations with people who actually want to be helped versus people who are just trying to like spread misery.
Exactly, and that's the key is like a small group of 100 people can make more than a giant group if you treat it right. Like, I mean, I'm here to make a living. I'll do a 2-hour webinar every week. Why not? Just do it free. No sales pitch. Hey, if you want to buy stuff, here's a list. That's what a lot of people miss out on is that's where the real magic happens is when you're listening, answering, understanding, taking questions, really looking at your niche, whether it's on email, whether it's on, commenting, whatever it is, look at it, understand it, get rid of the stuff that's not helpful, obviously, and really go in there and think about like, how could I help this person? And think about like, how could I help them beyond my own short-term selfish interest?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like, you're in the debt market. Sometimes your product might not be the best for this guy. I'm going to find a way to get paid on what is best for him because it doesn't matter to me as long as it's ethical, it's good, it's all fair game. And understanding that is key. And I think a lot of people think that marketers and content creators are let me push this product, I'm pushing this product, that's all I care about. And some are, right? But you don't need to be. Our job is content that helps find things that they will naturally want that's going to make money. And that's it. And you do that formula and you figure out, okay, let's pair these together. And then you have a business.
And I will add that, again, something that really was discouraging at first when I was getting a lot of negative commentary, I actually took the time to go look at those profiles and figure out, okay, well, are they really part of my niche audience? So to me, like negative commentary on your YouTube channel is actually a really good sign if it's from people who never would have bought from you anyway. The problem is if you get negative commentary from people who are your niche audience, and then you're like, okay, then something's not right. But I try to create content that just as much attracts an audience that I want, also repels the audience that I don't want. So for example, sometimes I get feedback of just like, oh, you're too braggy because you tell people that you're a millionaire. And it's just like, well, you know what, like I'm a money coach. So I think that's a relevant point of qualification as someone who's teaching you money. And to be honest, I don't think you should be, my personal opinion is you shouldn't be taking money advice from people who are not willing to be transparent about their own finances because you don't know what they're actually selling you. So I realized, part of me, sometimes I was like, oh, should I just stop saying that or should I just not do that? But what I found is that the people who make the best clients for me are the ones who are motivated or inspired by the fact like, hey, you used to work in corporate or you used to have mental health challenges or you are the, like I'm the 8th of my dad's 9 kids. Like those in combination with me saying I'm a millionaire, people weren't offended or threatened by that, but people who had no intention of paying me anyway were the ones who were like, you should stop saying this, you should stop saying that. It's just like, well, actually, that's a great sign that if you are getting commentary that doesn't make you feel great, like the biggest aha moment for me was just like anytime I've gotten negative commentary, it's never been from anyone I've actually served.
Well, and it means that you're broadening your audience. So like there's a tight group that will always watch your stuff, and that's who you're hitting, right? It might be, let's say you have 6,000 subscribers. Over the course of a month, most of the 6,000 will probably watch something if you're consistent. What we want is something that's going to branch out. Like, can I get people who maybe don't know this certain type of debt thing, and maybe they're just, oh, I'm behind on my credit card bill. Would I be able to make something that would help them? Would it be something that would drive them into my business? And I always look at it like, when I get the bad comments, I know something's going to a new audience. It's just a fact. And, you know, it's like, whatever. I just, you know, sometimes they'll comment on my looks or whatever, and I'm like, that's not relevant, but thank you. You know,
I always get people commenting on my voice and how I talk.
Yeah, no, yeah, it could be interesting. Sometimes they're brutal. But looking at it and like, hey, I'm here to make a living, and as long as I know what I'm doing is good, ethical, and aligned with what I want, I mean, you know, I'm doing my thing. Yeah.
And we're not here to be for everybody, right?
No.
And so that's been really, I'm still working on that myself, because especially for me, working with people who maybe have a lot of debts, especially if it's like student loan debt or medical debt, like there's a lot of personal finance content out there that's just like, oh, if you're in debt, it's because you're irresponsible or because you spent too much money or whatever. And what I've, figured out for myself is that, I can't help everybody who has debt, but there is a certain subset of people that I am really good for. And where it's also been fun for me on the YouTube channel is that if I'm finding a particular like subset of this audience who that I might not be able to serve as well, then I might bring on like a guest who is that person and kind of transfer that audience over there. So that's been really fun for me. So for example, I don't really do a lot for people on wanting to build their credit score, for example, but I know someone who is really good at that. Or sometimes I have some clients who have gone into like a lot of medical debt and they don't know how to navigate insurance. So I brought in someone who was like really good at insurance. And so there is a way to still serve that audience. And, and for me, it's been fun because then I just use the YouTube channel as a reason to meet new people and learn things. But you don't have to serve everybody on your channel. And I think that's where people go astray really quickly, is they start doing videos about all sorts of random things. So they're like, oh, I got one question about this thing, so now I have to create an entire video around it.
Exactly. No, that's really good advice, whether you're a blogger, whether you're a YouTuber, podcaster. Stay super narrow focused, and then you can broaden out when you earn the audience to broaden out. And then when you do, I mean, you'll get a lot of people, but then you're going to get more headaches, you're going to get more bad comments, you're going to get more people just taking up space and bandwidth and stuff like that. But like you said, I think the culture of just hustle, you're in debt because you're lazy, I think it's really negative. And I think it teaches people the wrong way, because I look at it like, these aren't things I was taught. Like I remember I was talking to my cousin who does well in his business as well. And I'm like, you kind of have to earn your way to learn things. There's certain things at $1 million that you learn that you only learn by being $1 million because no one shares it. And it's like, okay, well, that would have been good. Or like debt. Like, to me, I'm shocked that more people aren't in debt because the cost of living is absurd and the wages are ridiculous. That's the problem. And it's not because you're lazy, it's because you're trying to survive.
Yeah, the system is rigged.
Yeah, exactly. We need to give tax breaks to more billionaires instead of like feed people. But that's a whole nother topic. And starting to look at that and understand, hey, I can go out there, I can help people, whether it's small and simple, faceless without my voice, whether it's like Bernadette's doing, where she's got her voice and stuff out there, and really serve that niche, very tight focus. There are people out there that make a great living in niches you would have never even guessed. Just stuff that you're like, wow, really? That's the most tight niche thing, and it works. Bernadette's in one where it's big. The debt ceiling is big. There's a lot of people looking at it, a lot of people interested in it. She found one small avenue in that. And we look at it this way. Is there not enough money in a lot of these niches for people to get into the little subsects? There is. And that's the key takeaway, is go out there and make planned content, focused content, with a purpose of what are you going to do with it next. So Bernadette, thanks for being here. I think this has been fantastic. And yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, and I'm learning so much from you too.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you guys in the next video.